This movie truly had no business being as good as it was. I'm just thoroughly surprised of just how much fun I had top to bottom in watching this movie. But nonetheless, Eli Roth is back with a new film, and we're ready to get into the review of that new film, Thanksgiving, right now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Thanksgiving, coming to theaters November 17th. Now, this film is brought to you by director and writer and producer Eli Roth, who returns back. I think it's been about 2 years since he's put out a film, but nonetheless, his notable projects, Cabin Fever, Hostel, Knock Knock, and a plethora of other films. But nonetheless, when you see his name on a project, it certainly should turn on the light bulb of interest, and this one was no different for me. But what is really interesting is, one, I thought the marketing with this film was brilliant. Because it's a horror film, it's a slasher, and they easily could have put this in October, but the fact that they decided to go in November and cater it towards Thanksgiving, I thought was genius. Because with all the other films coming out in October, all the horror films, and granted, I always wanted to be spooky season when it comes down to films, but why even try to compete when you could just stand alone? So the fact that you went with a title Thanksgiving, which should just easily make the film trend, and then release it in November, where a lot of other film releases are really directed towards the holiday season, it's genius. But beyond that, I was expecting to like this film. I just really could not believe just how much fun I had with this film. And top to bottom, this film was just nothing but laughs, amazing kills, the gore. It's just so much to talk about with this film, and we're definitely going to get into it all. But when you talk about what this film is about, it is about the OG Black Friday shenanigans. You remember on Black Friday, before anything was digital, before you even were able to shop on Thanksgiving, when you actually had to wait until Black Friday, when you had to camp, and there was people getting trampled and all sorts of just crazy things happening because people were trying to get those sales. Well, yeah, it's definitely OG Black Friday shenanigans in the most horrific way. It takes us to the most popular mart within this town, Right Mark, where let's just exaggerate here. Thousands of people are outside ready to get the best deals available, and people are feisty. The shop only has 2 security guards, and they're having a hard time maintaining the crowd. Meanwhile, the shop owner daughter decides that she's going to sneak her friends, high school friends, in through a side entrance, get in there, get their deals early, brag about it while they're inside. And that just was the beginning of things here. That not only excited the crowd, but after that, it was a Royal Rumble. It got crazy. And yes, people died, people got trampled, all sorts of hell broke loose. That's the easiest way to put this here. So with that, a year later, and there's still a lot of animosity towards the owner, because the owner is like, hey, forget this. We're back to business this year. And other folks are like, shut it down. People lost their lives last year. This is not good. And because, you kind of look at this guy as some rich prick, folks ain't liking the idea that like he's in no regards for anybody who lost their life. I mean, yeah, granted, he's trying to do some community work, but it's still not addressing the fact that they do not need to be operating Black Friday. And truly, when you think about the projection here in terms of just like the societal parallels, this was the catalyst for a lot of people in a lot of stores such as Walmart, Target, and etc. to kind of tier their sales. There was sales that started at certain times. You were able to get them not only just on Black Friday, but on Thanksgiving and beyond. And then ultimately you were able to do online shopping because they needed to get ahead of the violence that occurred on Black Friday. But this shop owner was like, forget that. We're doing it my way. And that's just what it is. So yeah, the community's not on board. That did nothing but breed a slasher. We have a killer on the loose. And this killer out here, this mysterious serial killer known as John Carver, he's in Massachusetts, which is the town. They're in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So if you get John Carver, you get what's all kind of happening here. And he's seeking revenge. The thing about this film is that, yes, all slashers really pretty much follows the same suit. Who is it? What's their motive? You draw suspicion over a ton of characters only to be surprised at the end, which we'll talk about that in a little. But I'm going to say that, like, listen, there were some pretty impressive kills in this film. Unique and logical, shall I say, as well, too. There was definitely some science involved in some of the killings. Science and tech, should I add. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. And then when you talk about just the dialogue in the film, the commentary, hilarious. I laughed so much in this film. And then a moment later, just completely jaw dropped because of the events of certain deaths and killings and all that sorts of different things. I mean, this film sends you on a roller coaster of a ride that's just completely entertaining. And again, I just think this film had literally no business being as fun as it was here. And it never really takes itself overly serious. And I think the dialogue is the biggest indication for that. So with that being said, it's a absolute good popcorn flick. If you have no plans, you want to go see this on a Friday night, whether it's a date, whether you're hanging out with friends, whether you just don't know what's available and you're kind of trying to make a decision, I think this is the easy no-brainer for you, that this film will absolutely be worth the ticket admission, and you will have a good time. But the interesting thing with the slasher aspect is the John Carver mask. Because of the significance of John Carver, everybody in town is wearing a John Carver mask. So literally anybody could be John Carver. Plenty of people are dressed as pilgrims. Except this pilgrim is equipped with an axe, and he's, again, taking matters in his own hand. And then when you talk about the array of other characters, because I really didn't even go over the significance of the characters, besides the characters that, we're able to get into right mark earlier, they're high school kids, and high school kids are going to do high school things. So that's the big thing you can definitely expect, is a bunch of high school kids doing what high school kids do best. But there's some notable names in this, just in case you were wondering, like Patrick Dempsey, for instance. Like, Patrick Dempsey is a selling factor. And when you talk about Patrick Dempsey and everything he's done in Grey's Anatomy, and even in the Disney Hall of Fame at this point now, Derek Shepherd cannot be trusted, because any and everybody at this point could potentially be a suspect. So, like, having Patrick Dempsey, who's such a likable face, and you're just like, could Patrick Dempsey be the person? I'm just telling you, like, I thought that was so intriguing that they just used such an array of different characters with different motives, and even folks that are completely unpredictable. I mean, you wouldn't suspect becomes a suspect. So, again, when you talk about some of the cast members here, Patrick Dempsey, Allison Ray was Gabby, Jalen Thomas Brooks is Bobby. There's just a bunch of different characters that at any given point in the film you will suspect them, but Patrick Dempsey is your big name. And again, just to keep it 100, you just can't trust anybody. Can't even trust a charming face or a doctor. So truly, to kind of play, the detective of the film, pay attention to every detail and every character, as it all does tie together very well at the end when it's revealed who is the slasher, who is the killer. And much like any other films with slashers, well, they're giving you that ending that with nobody found, They're setting up potential for more, and I'm on board for Thanksgiving too. So make it happen. Eli Roth, this was a banger. This is a must-see film. Nonetheless, you get to check it out November 17th. Folks, get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this one. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.